Hi folks, and welcome to Maths and Physics for You. Nice to be back with you. And today what we are going to do is sketching the graph of the function y equals 1 over x minus 1 all square. And using this graph, you could also sketch other similar graphs of the same family, like 1 over x minus a to the power square, maybe x plus 1, x plus 2 and square, and so on. So let's start with this one. As you can see, we have x minus 1 here. So the first thing to think about is that x cannot be equals to 1. So x must be different than 1, because 1, if you put 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. And we cannot divide a fraction. We cannot divide by 0. That's not allowed, undefined. So this means x equals 1 must be the asymptote. That is, the graph will not cross it. So x equals 1, we can write x equal is asymptote. All right, so that's the first thing to think about. All right, so in this example, we are not going to use derivatives. So we're using a simple way. If we look at this function also, we notice that we can compare it to a hyperbola. The basic function is y equals 1 over x. So this is the way how we start thinking. So we say, start with this. We say, let's say y equals 1 over x. As you know, this is the simple, basic hyperbola. That is, in this case, x is different than 0. Again, because we can't divide by 0. And the graph of a hyperbola, I guess you guys know. So it looks like that. This is a simple hyperbola. It means two sections. One is positive above the x-axis, and one is below the x-axis on this side. Okay, for negative values of x. And we have two asymptotes here. It's the x-axis and the y-axis. Because, as we said, here x equal to 0. So this means the y-axis is the asymptote. That gives you the x equal to 0 is the y-axis. So that's the first asymptote. And also there is no value of x that will give you y equal to 0. So we cannot have a value of y equal to 0. Y equal 1 over anything, it will not give you 0. So that's why also the x-axis is also asymptote, because the function will not cross it. There will be no 0. Okay, that's the first thing we start with. So this is number 1, line of thinking or planning, how to plot that. And with experience, that goes very quickly. Okay, now we have here square. So the next step is, what happens if we have y equals 1 over x squared? So again, x cannot be 0. So this is comparable to that. So we can do another graph here. So again, the x and y will be again the asymptotes for the same reason we just discussed. But the difference is that y will always be positive, because we have here square. So even if x is negative, when you square it, it becomes positive. So no more we have a branch of the graph below the x-axis. So this will flip up to the positive side. And of course it's squared. So because we divide by a square number, it means x squared is bigger. So this means you're dividing by a bigger number. So the function becomes smaller. Y becomes smaller and smaller. So the first one will be like that, something like this, and on this side it will be also something like that. Okay, so this is the y-axis where we got the asymptotes. The first asymptote, and that's the other asymptote. So we continue so that we arrive to the sketch of the function we are after. That is y equal 1 over x minus 1 squared. So from transformation and translation, you can see that this will have the same graph of this one, but it moves to the right by 1 unit. So x minus 1 means the graph, by comparing to this one, there will be similar shapes, but this graph moves to the right by 1 unit. That is, there is shifting to the right by 1 unit. And that's what we will see. So now, instead of the y-axis being the vertical asymptote, because this is the asymptote shifts to the right by 1 unit, then x equals 1 will be the new asymptote, as we wrote there. So let's see again. Okay, as we see what we're going to do now. Okay, so now, as you can see, 1 is the number 1. This is 2, 3, that's 0, minus 1, minus 2. So this is the new asymptote. X equals 1 is the new asymptote. Right? Okay. Another important point we can find is the y-intercept here. That is, now we can put x equal to 0 so that we find the y-intercept. So let's find y-intercept. This means x equals 0. So if we put it there, you get y equals 1 over minus 1 squared. So that's equals to, what does it equals to? 1. So there is y-intercept here. Let's put it on this side. Alright? Okay. So as we said before, from the previous graph, for y equals 1 over x squared, it was like that. This is for y equals 1 over x squared. So for this one, it means it's the same shape, but shifted to the right. So that will be, and on this side the same thing. And they are symmetric. Here it's symmetric about the y-axis, but in this case it will be symmetric about x equals 1. And it's easy also to make the plot even more accurate by taking few x values. So let's see a few x values. We can put a table of values. That's x, and this is the corresponding value of y. Okay, here we start with 1 because symmetric about x equals 1. So the value of y, there is no value of y here, because if you put 1, it becomes undefined. So then we take on this side 0, on the other side you add 1, so it's 2. You add another 1 from this side. Okay, and what do you do on this side? Minus 1. Okay? Okay, so if we do simple substitution in this function here, okay, if you put here 2 minus 1 is 1. So 1 squared, that will give you What will if x equals to 2? That will give you 1. The same thing, if x is minus 1, minus 1 minus 1 is minus 2 square, that will give you the same thing. Here, minus 1, let's look at this, minus 1 is minus 2. So that gives you 1 over 4. Right? Okay, let's see on that side. Okay, 0, as we said, this is 1. Now, if this is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, 4, so that's 1 over 4 as well. So this should be good enough. This should be good enough for a table of values. You could do more if you like, but that should be fine. If you do for 4 anyway, that will give you 1 over 9. And this is minus 2, again 1 over 9. So you can easily plot these values here. So if x is 2, we have 1. So that's the same thing like this one. Alright, and this is, as we see, 1 over 4. You can bring it down to make it looks even more accurate. This is 1 over 4 here. Okay, so you got 1, right, that is 3, and 1 over 4. And then on this side, again minus 1, and so on. So this is the graph. So this is the graph of y equal 1 over x minus 1 to the power square. So again, if it's like instead of a negative number, x plus 1 square, then you will have the same shape, but instead the translation will be to the left by 1 unit. And that's it, folks, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see you in the next video.